Stradler, where are you? Get back in your cubicle. I'm not paying you to uncubicle yourself.
Welcome to part 3 of our catch-up series for what we have been doing for the last 9 months and how we got to where we are right now. We left the house beginning of May, end of April, went up to Roche Lake in Wayne's vintage trailer.
Yeah.
Was it 12 feet, 16 feet?
I think on the paperwork it said 14 foot.
To others it may have been a little bit cramped, but to me it was home. I was very comfortable there. I enjoyed it. And it was the beginning of our time together as well. And I honestly didn't feel it was too small. It was our home.
Some days it felt like it was 12 feet. Some days it felt like it was 25 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, we were so busy working. Like I was working, you know, with the commute 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. And, you know, she was out almost every evening doing the park stuff, because that would start in the later afternoon. And then the weekends, she was either doing the park stuff and or the resort stuff. So, you know, we didn't spend a lot of time together there.
Right.
But we both knew that if we were going to be full-timing in an RV, we couldn't really do it in that, because I think by now we probably would have.
Especially with the dog as well.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the prime objective for doing my 2 jobs and Wayne's 1 job, basically to get a bigger home, to come out on the road.
Yeah. And at a certain point we started looking, you know, at our options. Obviously we weren't, you know, making millions, so a new Class A wasn't in the cards. And to be honest, we weren't really interested in a big motorhome. I still wanted to keep it manageable as far as driving goes. In the research that we did, I think we kind of narrowed it down to definitely something towable, whether that was a bumper pole trailer or a 5th wheel. And then once we started looking at our options there, we knew we had to upgrade the truck. And then we started looking and found a 5th wheel online.
And wow, did we luck out. Yeah. Not only was it a 5th wheel, 26 feet, he also had a truck. I mean, a truck that pulled this. I mean, a truck that he made the trailer up.
Yeah.
What's that called?
He flipped the axles,
yes,
so that it was nice and even. So it's like, you know.
So he made it work for this truck, and it was a package deal.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have suited us better.
Yeah, we got very lucky, and even with a few apprehensions that I had, mainly it was the mileage on the truck. At first, we kind of went, well, the price is right. So we got it and brought it back to the lake, and then we had to start the process of, okay, what do we do with the old trailer? So of course it got listed, and it wasn't too long.
No,
a couple weeks, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
week or two, and a fellow came up and he liked it, and we said bye to the little guy.
It was harder for me. Wayne was outside helping him hook it up to his truck, and Wayne watched the trailer go away on the back of his truck, and I was at the window looking pretty sad. Wayne walks in the door to our new home, and he's looking at me and he goes, "Oh, this is harder on you than it is on me."
Yeah, I don't know, I look at some things like that as just, you know, they're tools for a job, or they're what you need at the time. And I think we did pretty good in finding a new one, so it wasn't so bad leaving the old one.
When we first got our new place settled up at the lake, again, this is a 5th wheel, so in this arrangement the bed is at the very front, like the towing part, and then the kitchen is at the very back. So it was pretty cute. When we got everything settled into the new place, I went and I lied on the bed in the front, and Wayne was at the very back in the kitchen. and he was leaning on the counters. And I looked at him and I went, wow, you're so far away. Because here we literally doubled our size. Everything was doubled.
Yeah, it felt like we were in a mansion.
Yes, and it still feels that way, and it feels luxurious. And we will do a video to show you all our new house because it is just beautiful.
Yep.
And another thing about that, we never want to go larger. This size works perfectly for the both of us and the dog.
Yep. Yeah, he's got space. We have space. We'll touch on all this later. But there was a little feature about this one that actually made it work even better for us, and that's the fact that it came with like brand new when they were released. They came with freestanding table and 4 chairs. Well, you take that freestanding table out and the 4 chairs out, and you have a pretty big place, which we turn into our workbench because we both do work online.
We created a workspace
Yep.
that is enough room for both of us.
Yeah, we didn't have to rip out a dinette or anything crazy. We just basically took the table and chairs out and gifted them to friends.
Yes.
And we found an IKEA table and 2 computer chairs.
And it works.
Yeah, we're awesome. So.
And this part is footage that we took of an abandoned logging camp. And of course, Wayne was in his glory because there was abandoned homes and some really cool rusty cars. And literally this place, they walked away. There was still things in the homes. It was cool. And here's the footage.
So we were hanging out with some new friends that we made at the resort, Adam and Stacy, and they told us about this place that is an abandoned logging camp. I don't know if it has a name, but it doesn't really matter because it's really, really cool. So we drove up a logging road, and then at a certain point we had to stop because there was a log across the road, and we walked in about 10-15 minutes down the same road, and all of a sudden we came into this abandoned logging camp. What'd you find?
You're not gonna believe it. I found something pretty crazy amazing. I'm gonna see this.
Okay.
You're not gonna believe it. Check this out.
Oh, sweet. The remains of the old schoolhouse. I don't think I'm going any further. Apparently the roof was intact up until last winter. They got lots of snow, and then it collapsed in. There's a little footage of the logging camp that we found, and what I find amazing about these places is a lot of times you don't even know that they're there. We were literally, what, 20 minutes away? Not even 10. It took us 10 minutes to get there with a little bit of hike on the end. And we were there months before we even knew that that was just down the road. And if it hadn't been for Adam and Stacy talking about it,
Right.
you know, we would have never known. And it's really cool to find stuff out there that not a lot of people know about. I mean, I could have Googled it for days and it would have never came up because I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know anything about it. It was just like literally a company logging camp, and when the company shut down the logging operation, everybody left town. There was a schoolhouse, there was houses, there was a garage, you know, and a lot of it was still there.
While I was working at Roche Lake with my two jobs, my primary job was the Roche Lake Campground Park operator. I didn't do that job alone. I had an amazing partner. His name is Ed Shore. He has been taking on that role for 8 years, and we laughed. We were a great team, and we all became friends, his wife as well. So we would like to say a great big thank you to Ed.
Thanks, Uncle Ed.
He is a fantastic man, and thank you for giving me an amazing experience. It was great being your partner.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed was awesome. We call him Uncle Ed because he was Louis' Uncle Ed.
Yeah. Ed would drive up, Lua would come out and run over, and we'd go, "There's Uncle Ed." your first swim? You gonna go for your first swim? Okay. Let's go.
Come down.
So it was first time in the water.
Want to go in the water? Come on.
He's shy.
Yeah, Mom's in the water.
Come on, baby. Come on. Let's go. Go in the water. You can go for a swim. Come on.
Go swim up.
Come on, go swim. Yay! He did it. His first time in the water.
There you go. Not so bad.
Let's go. Go on. Yay! Good job. Come on, go swim. Come on. Go swim. I could throw a ball.
Well, just like throw it like short distance. Right in front of it.
All right.
It does. It floats away, floats away.
Go get the ball. You did it.
Just gotta get comfortable with it. Once he knows it.
Go get the ball, baby.
Go get it. Where's the ball? It's okay.
Go get the ball. It's floating away.
He will,
Go get it.
oh boy.
There he goes. Go get it, baby. Go get the ball. Yay, he's swimming. He's swimming.
Attaboy, Lua.
Yay, Lua. Look at you go. You're swimming. Oh,
Good boy.
you did a swimming.
Good boy.
Hi everyone, it is day in the life of park operator in BC. Today we had a crazy windstorm, so on my adventure at work today, there was this in my pack. So not being very good at these things, I went to my rescuer, Wayne of course, and he is chopping down the tree because there is a fire ban and we are not allowed to use chainsaws in the woods right now.
Plus we don't have one.
Okay, that's true too. We don't have one.
I think I have to sharpen the axe when we get home.
And there we have it. My amazing hero. Choice, what you got, lumberjack boy?
Got a sore hand is what I got. I don't know. This one's got quite a bit of knot. I think I tried this one already. Oh, I just broke the axe.
Are you kidding? Oh no.
I guess I am a manly man after all. Broke my axe. Look. I guess it's time to sit down and pet the dog. Here. Conehead.
The conehead dog. Hey Lua. You show everybody your cone?
We got a new axe.
You got a new axe because you broke the last one.
Broke the last one.
How's it going?
Good.
Got some good wood there.
Settle down. Also got this, which splits the really big pieces into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Well, that sounds good.
It's a splitting wedge, but it also has a turn to it. So as it goes down, it opens it up and splits the wood apart. Very handy. I don't know.
Are you going to show us how the splitter works?
So we've got a big round piece of wood. It'd be pretty hard to split otherwise. So here's the splitter. Put a random spot, pretty much where I think where you would want to hit it with an axe. Voila!
That's cool.
And then you just split these with an axe because you got.
That's cool. And what happened? It was mid-October with very little sun load. We weren't getting power. It was time to leave the lake.
Yep.
We went down the road to an RV park called Knutsford, just out of Kamloops. And I have to say, after living up at Roche Lake and not having any amenities, it was pretty damn nice to have power hookup, sewer hookup, and water.
Yeah.
We didn't have to truck in the water anymore. We actually had water coming in. And I know to others that may be just something that is taken for granted, but believe me, to us, that was luxury.
Yeah. Because basically we were still at the lake because I had to finish up my job. I'd given them till the end of October, and we still had 2 weeks left, but it was starting to snow at the lake. So in the morning I was getting up, and just to get whatever solar through the cloud we could get, I was getting up, climbing onto the roof of the new trailer because I'd already mounted the solar panels on the roof, and clearing all the snow off. And that was just kind of getting to the point where it's like, and then we'd barely get enough solar to run the heater through the night to keep us warm because the fan needs electricity. So it was kind of getting, okay, let's just bite the bullet, and we're gonna move down to Knutsford and live the life of luxury for a couple of weeks. We left there and hit the road. Now, the reason we had to go to Calgary is basically that's the last physical address I've had. I didn't really have one in BC because we were in the house briefly before heading up to the lake. So my mailing address and stuff is there, my insurance is there, my registration on my vehicles was there, and because we were changing vehicles and then bought the truck and trailer, which was purchased in BC, it had to be inspected before we could re-register it in Alberta, etc., etc. So we had to go and do a bunch of paperwork, and also I still had an Xterra to get rid of. We weren't going to put it in storage, we weren't going to tow it, we weren't going to do anything crazy like that. We just wanted to get rid of Betty and move on.
It wasn't easy to do.
No, it wasn't easy to do, mainly because, you know, you always tend to value your vehicles a little more than the next person. So it was kind of hard to do, but it needed to be done. Again, a tool for a job that I needed at the time, and after that, it was time to upgrade and move on. So upon leaving Calgary, we were checking the weather and the road conditions, and it looked like we were pretty good. And to be honest, we had no problems all the way through BC, into Alberta, and we gassed up in Banff, went through Canmore, and in between Canmore and Calgary, which is literally the last hour of the trip, it starts snowing, like a fine cold snow blowing across the road. Obviously I'm taking it easy. I'm a pickup truck towing a fifth wheel, and that wasn't enough. At a certain point, I started sliding.
Sliding, that's the total understatement of the season, because Wayne was ahead of me with Lua driving the truck and trailer, and I was behind them driving Betty to Calgary. And so I'm watching this happen, and literally it was 6 slides of the trailer and the truck, like both of them just going in directions that they weren't meant to. And the amazing thing for me is how Wayne held it up, because the entire time I was watching the axle of the trailer, and not once did that thing start the flip-flop on the wheels. It was straight and steady the whole time. And I personally believe that your dad grabbed the wheel.
Well, I mean, it was my dad's advice when I was learning to drive, how to, turn out of a slide, etc., that helped. But yeah, I'm thankful there was nobody beside us, like trying to pass me or something, because we would have taken them out. We were literally sideways down the 2-lane divided highway, I don't know how many times. And I just, as soon as it started to go, obviously I let off the gas and just tried to guide it back, and eventually got it straightened out and pulled over onto the side of the road, checked my pants, walked back to the Xterra, and she's sitting in there just shaking, white as a ghost, and the only thing she said was, "How the hell did you pull that out of there?" Mm-hmm. And I didn't know. I just just did it. I think everybody should be taught how to drive properly, and you should be taught how to deal with something when it pops up like that. And being as it was a truck and trailer that I haven't had much time in, I'm thankful that I was able to pull it out.
But we did get to Calgary safely eventually.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there, it was
cold.
Yeah, there's a word I would put before cold if this wasn't a family show. But yeah, minus 18 Celsius at one point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
we were a couple nights living in the fifth wheel. We went through, how big is our propane?
We have 2 30-pound tanks, and I was swapping them out every other day. We were plugged in at LaDonna's friends and in their driveway, and I was swapping the propane tanks every other day, because we were just basically running the heater 24/7
because it was so cold.
Yeah. But then
we were very blessed that the friends that we had contacted earlier while we were still in Knutsford, we have some amazing friends who live in Calgary, and we asked them, we said we didn't know exactly how long we were going to be in Calgary, because we had to sell Betty and do all the paperwork for the new vehicle. So they were very gracious. After we spent a couple nights freezing in the fifth wheel, they asked if we would like to go into their home, and it was very kind of them. So big shout out to Kyle, Buddha Devi, and also my guru, Surya Krishna. Thank you very much, guys, for
thank you so much.
Giving us a place to call home instead of being cold.
Yeah. The brass monkeys, thank you.
Thank you, Surya and Kyle.
I did sell the Xterra to a young guy who is an outdoorsy kind of guy and does a lot of skiing and stuff like that. So I'm sure it went to a good home.
The exciting part is he was so young. This is his first vehicle.
Yeah.
That is perfect.
Yeah. So finishing up in Calgary marked the end of getting us to where we wanted to go, and that's back on the road. To be honest, it wasn't just the two of us doing it. I have to thank Craig and Don and James and Richard and George at Woodland in Kamloops. They had a lot to do with this. We didn't know when we were going to be able to leave, but having that job definitely helped us leave earlier than we planned on. There was a lot of people behind the scenes that basically, supported us and just, helped in ways that they might not have even known that they've helped. And LaDonna has a lot of friends that she, misses. So I'm going to hand it over to her and you can say your thank yous.
When I first moved to Kamloops, I met an absolutely beautiful woman at the Golden Buddha downtown Kamloops. And she gave me my first job in Kamloops, and it ended up being literally my last job in Kamloops. I went back to work there before we came out onto the road. So I would like to say a very big thank you for somebody I love very much, Prakriti Devi, Brenda. Thank you. You're a very good friend. I would also like to thank Marissa. Well, Wayne was on the road last year, and I was at home holding down the fort, and whenever he was ready to come home, I leaned a lot on my friend Marissa, and she was there. She kept saying, he's worth it, just hang in there, and I did. But I just wanted to say thank you, Marissa, for being so good for me, and I'll always be here for you too, girlfriend. For quite a few years, there's been a woman that I have looked up to. She's fabulous, fantastic. There are just not enough kind, wonderful words for my Auntie Bev.
Hi, Auntie Bev.
She's been very supportive and loving, and if I say too much more, Auntie Bev, I'm just gonna sob, because you mean the world to me, and I know you're a big fan of Wayne, so thank you for being the beautiful person that you are. And supporting me where I was just like, oh, I wish he'd come home, but he needs to do this. And she listened to me. So thank you, Auntie Bev.
Thank you.
I love you, Auntie Bev.
Along with all the people that we thanked that help us get to this point, there is someone else we need to thank, and that's you guys for watching. Right now my channel's not, it's not crazy booming. I reached 100 followers a little while back.
And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, every single one of you. This is the reason we share this stuff, is because there's people like you out there watching, and whether you're planning to get out here too, which I totally recommend, or you can't and you're just watching to live vicariously through us, I welcome each and every one of you. We welcome each and every one of you. We appreciate all of you, and thanks for watching. So if you like these videos, you know what to do. Click the little thumb button and subscribe to see the next one. Hopefully it won't be 8 months before we catch you up again.
It's like working with a monkey.